Hello and welcome to Pockenrop. This video forms the first part of a brand new series which I'm calling ReImagined. In this series I intend taking a look at double albums and seeing whether or not I might be able to condense them down to a 5-star top-notch killer single album. Sometimes this is going to mean losing wonderful tracks, but we'll see how that goes. Occasionally I may even look at a commensurate body of work of maybe 2 or 3 albums that aren't great and whether or not they could be condensed down into a single great killer album. The confines I'll be working to will be it should be no more than 45-46 minutes in length. We're looking at the constraints required by a single vinyl LP and 2 sides of it. The whole series has been inspired by the fact that when I did my 1970s list, I left out an album that I've often said is a great double album. And I was surprised I'd left it out, and it's this one here, which is going to launch the series, and it's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John from 1973. Often cited as his greatest work. I don't agree. I would put Madman Across the Water much higher than Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. That said, after I did my video, I went back and listened to the album again, and I started to realise why I don't rank it as high as some other people might. So let's dive in, and I'm going to basically chuck out some tracks that I don't think are up to the standard of the rest of the ones that I would be keeping. So the first one to go would be Benny and the Jets. This was a #1 hit in America, and I have never ever liked it. I heard it originally on a Best of Elton John back in 1990, and it was a skip track. It still is a skip track for me. If you've ever seen the classic albums where they talk about how they made this, then you'll have discovered that it is not a live track like you might think it is. It's fake live, and it makes me like it even less. So after Benny and the Jets, there's only one other track that I tend to skip every time I listen to it, and that is Jamaica Jerk Off. White Man Do Reggae is not something that I tend to enjoy anyway, and it feels out of place with the rest of the album. With those 2 skippers out of the way, we're down to 16 tracks, and that's still far too much for a single album. So there's several other tracks I'll be pulling out. So All the Girls Love Alice is just a bit creepy, if I'm honest. Dirty Little Girl feels sexist to me. I've never particularly admired Your Sister Can't Twist But She Can Rock and Roll. Sweet Painted Lady, again, feels misogynistic. That can go. And the last track I would be culling from the album would be Grey Seal. Now, I think Grey Seal is a fantastic song, and so to cull it felt wrong to begin with, but then you discover that this was originally recorded in 1970, so it's Elton revisiting a song that he wrote 3 years ago, had already recorded and released, got no recognition. You can find it on special editions of the Elton John album from 1970. And it's a great song, but effectively it's Elton covering Elton. So that went as well. This leaves us with approximately 45-46 minutes worth of music. And so I've had a go at sequencing what I think would be the perfect Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. For me, this album has Elton John's greatest piece on it, and it opens it. Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding. The whole soundscape of the first half of the song, the instrumental work, the fact that it builds, it gets loud, it's fast, it's slow, that's fantastic. Absolutely wonderful. And then it's followed up by Love Lies Bleeding straight away, an absolutely banging rock tune. I would not move that from its place in the album. It would kick off the album because it's just such a punch in the gut. It's fantastic. On the original album, Love Lies Bleeding is followed by Candle in the Wind, which is an absolutely phenomenal song, if a little bit over familiar and played, particularly with the 97 rewrite for Diana's Funeral. But I think keep the momentum going. This is now a single album. It doesn't have the breadth and sprawl that the double album carries. So I would now be putting in Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting. As we start to get towards the end of side 1, I'd be sticking in Roy Rogers, which is currently tucked away on side 4, right in the middle, and following it up with Harmony, which closes the double album, and for me would be a pretty perfect closer for side 1 of the ReImagined Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. So moving into side 2, I've kicked the album here off with something that actually sat right in the middle of the original double, but closes the original side 2, and that is I've Seen That Movie Too. Next track would then be to go back a little bit on side 2 with This Song Has No Title. And then next track would be the only thing that I'd pick from side 3. And the more I've looked at it, the more I've realised that it's side 3 that I think pulls the album down a bit. And it would be The Ballad of Danny Bailey, 1909 to 1934. This is, after Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding, my favourite track on the album. It's certainly my favourite track on the second disc of the double. So this is a song about a gangster and how he dies, and it's absolutely great song, Ballad of Danny Bailey. Following on from that, we've just had the story of someone dying in a cinematic way, and we're going to go back to Candle in the Wind. It's too good a song not to include on an album like Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Penultimate track on the record would be what is the penultimate track on the double, and that is Social Disease. Now, I really like Social Disease. I think it's a very entertaining track. I'm not keen on the fact that it starts so quiet and the volume increases. That almost feels like it was a mastering cock-up to me, but then what do I know? And to conclude the album, what better track than the title track, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. It's one of Elton's best singles by a long chalk, and for me it would be the perfect end to what would be actually a perfect album. So this is a recap. These are my 10 tracks that would create the renamed Goodbye, that's B-U-Y, Yellow Brick Road. It is Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding, Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, Roy Rogers and Harmony. Flip it over for I've Seen That Movie Too, This Song Has No Title, Ballad of Danny Bailey, Candle in the Wind, Social Disease and Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. That is for me the reimagined perfect Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. So that's my first in this series. There will be a few more I'll be having a go at. I'm at some point going to tackle the vexed question of whether or not the White Album would have been better as a single. But until then, thank you very much for watching. Leave comments. What do you think I've got wrong with this? Because there's bound to be some debate. Do you love Jamaica Jerkoff? Could you not live without Benny and the Jets? Have I included something that you personally don't like? Or is it best to leave well enough alone? Should this stand as the double album it is, or is there a better single in there? So, before I go, I'll just remind you to like, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. I'd love to gain more subscribers, particularly if they want to argue with me about doubles versus singles. And until the next time, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in 7 days.